Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm the host today on Archery Talk 101, and we have Mike on the line with us today, and we're going to talk archery with him and see how things going on in his world. Welcome, Mike.
Well, thanks, Roy. Good to be here.
Well, how about if you introduce yourself and tell us a little something about you so we kind of get to know you?
Sure. Well, I am the owner and president of Treezyn Camo, and also the owner of No Scent Technologies. No Scent is a scent elimination product based with an enzyme formula. And of course, Treezyn Camo is a camouflage company. We also make Zen outdoor apparel, which is more of a fishing line as well. So those three products keep us busy in the hunting industry, and it's kind of like doing what you love. You never work a day in your life, right?
Right, that's true. So how long have you had those businesses?
We started No Scent about 6 years ago. And with the formulas and launching the products in that line. And then about 4 years ago, my wife and we bought a controlling interest of Treezyn, which the parent company is Zen Apparel. And that kind of started the whole ball rolling. We live in Eastern Georgia and love to hunt and be outdoors all the time. So it just was a perfect fit for us.
Yeah, that sounds kind of interesting getting into that, and if you want to share your different companies and sites, go right ahead. If you want to share, you can just bring up share screen and walk us through the different sites if you would like.
Oh, sure, that'd be great. I'll do that. I'll share our Treezyn website first. Hopefully you can see that.
I can see it. Yep.
Okay. So obviously we've got our Black Friday sale going on still through the end of the month for another 6 hours. And Treezyn is one of the brands. It's the major brand of Zen Apparel. And we've been making camouflage clothing for about 13, almost 14 years. And we offer a full line of products. These are just some of the products that are on sale, but we offer men's products, women's products, base layers, bino harnesses, turkey vests. And if I go down here to men's hunting gear, we've got what we call an early season pattern, which is looks like this. It's green, for turkey hunting and bow season. And then for late season, we have the same type of pattern. It's just gray and brown, so it blends in super well to the time of year when there's no leaves on the trees. And we offer everything from ultralight products to heavyweight products to keep you cold or keep you warm when it's really cold. And like I said, we have products for men and women, early season and late season. And then the Zen Apparel, which is a fishing line. It's a UPF performance fabrics. So it's going to give you a lot of sun protection, 50 plus in the UPF meter. We offer hoodies, long sleeve shirts, traditional fishing shirts, long sleeve that roll up. And then you've got a short sleeve fishing shirt, polo shirt, kind of like for golf, and then men's shorts, and then women's hoodies and women's shorts as well. And all these are performance fabrics, the same as in our Treezyn line. All of our fabrics are performance or technical fabrics, meaning they're going to be water repellent or waterproof, windproof, sun resistant with the UPF rating of 50 plus. All of our products are guaranteed for life. So you never have to worry about, the quality of the product. If there's ever a manufacturer's defect, you just let us know. We'll send you a new product. And we've been standing behind that guarantee for the entire life of the company. Like here's one of our very popular products. This is our performance grade men's puffer. Happens to be 40% off right now, which is an exceptional deal.
Yeah,
And
it is.
it's made of a synthetic down, so it's 80 times warmer than down. It only weighs 7 ounces, and it'll keep you warm with just a t-shirt underneath down to about 20 degrees. It's ultra lightweight. It's made to be light, and it's made to be warm. And that's the nature of this product. And it's a great product. We sell these all over the United States, all over the world, really. We have a very strong presence in South Africa, and uniquely, maybe not so uniquely, we have a very, very strong presence in Hawaii. We may be the #1 camo company in Hawaii with our early season green. So, I mean, that's kind of basics about No Scent, or excuse me, about Treezyn. And then if I go to our No Scent website, noscent.us, these are our products. We have the field spray, hair and body wash, laundry pods, and a deodorant. And all of our products in the No Scent line are super safe. We don't use any chemicals. We don't put any dyes or any fragrances into the No Scent products. Even our deodorant doesn't have aluminum. It's very safe. The No Scent product is one of the only, it's one of 2 actually products in the scent elimination industry that is safe for your skin. It's called skin safe. Everything else, because it's a chemical, is not safe for your skin. It can cause some pretty harmful effects, even cancer. A lot of the products that we see on the market today are not for sale in many of our United States because they're known to be cancer-causing agents. But No Scent is an enzyme formula with encapsulation technology. So it's only going to affect the protein signatures of humans. So without getting too gross, if it's blood, sweat, vomit, urine, feces, any of those proteins, the No Scent enzyme formula is going to attack and then dissolve those proteins, hence preventing them from growing bacteria, which causes the odor itself. And, you know, No Scent's been around for 6 years, and we sell globally No Scent just like Treezyn. We have a very strong presence in South Africa as well with No Scent. So those are the 2 major lines, the apparel company and then the scent elimination company that we have.
Yeah, I know. Way back, probably well, close to 20 years ago now, when I had my store, a chemist from Berkeley, they work, you know, like in the fishing bait and stuff. He come up with something called descent, and it wasn't the normal charcoal and all that stuff. It actually chemically altered it somehow, and he was doing that until it got so big, you know, with Berkeley's knowledge. And then he got so big, and they said, well, you can be a chemist or you can have this product. So he closed it up. But that was a really good product. And one of the things, take a marker and put on paper and spray it, and then scent disappeared.
You can eliminate human odor. I mean, as we know in the hunting industry, it's extremely important, right? It's the #1 defense mechanism that big game have. Deer, hogs, any type of animal that is could be victim of predation. They have a very keen sense of smell. And there's 2 ways really to address human odor. You can eliminate it with chemicals, or you can eliminate it with enzymes. And that's pretty much it. You might be able to eliminate it with ozone. There are some pretty harsh side effects to the ozone product because of its corrosive nature. And, you know, those are our options for us. Unfortunately, the chemicals have some really negative side effects to them. and can be harmful to your health permanently. So, us and Dead Downwind are the only enzymatic products on the market right now. And Dead Downwind is a fine product. It's a great product. They will eliminate some of many odors, and that's their formula. We designed our formula to eliminate all of one odor, which is human. And there isn't a human odor that No Scent will not eliminate. Can it eliminate all odors 100%? Well, we don't live in a perfect world. Everybody knows that.
Right.
We say that it eliminates 100% of human odor. By that, we mean all of human odor, not 100% of all the odor. It'll do like 99.9%. But there isn't a human odor that it won't eliminate. And a protein signature from an animal is very similar to a human. So, for instance, like a skunk, which is one of the most pungent odors that we know of, No Scent will take out skunk odor in about 40 seconds. And if you have a dog, or if you yourself have been hit by a skunk, No Scent is really what you need.
Oh, that's interesting, because you always hear all the stories. Okay, washing tomato soup and all this kind of stuff, and it just doesn't go away. And
yeah,
the trouble.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge for in the hunting industry, you got to wade through the smoke and mirrors of a lot of products. The snake oils out there, and there's a bunch out there. I'm not kidding you. This is why I developed No Scent, is because there wasn't anything that I found that worked, because it couldn't work. It was just smoke and mirrors, really, or right. It was a cover scent. The reality is, and I may upset some of your listeners, but the facts are, you can't cover a human odor. You can add another odor to it, but it's never going to cover your human odor. Regardless of what your best friend or your great grandfather said, you just can't cover human odor. You have to eliminate it. And you can do that with chemicals, or you can do it with enzymes. And that's pretty much the options that you have safely. The safest option is really the enzyme option. Only us and Dead Downwind are the products that are skin safe, a certified skin safe.
Because you're not putting chemicals on to try and eliminate the odors. You're
right.
Actually chemically altering it.
Right. We're not chemically altering anything. I mean, the enzymes are, they're all natural. We have enzymes in us that helps us digest our food so quickly.
Right.
If you are, you might live outside of the city or whatever, and you have a septic tank. Septic tanks run off of enzymes. That's how they break down the, protein matter. Enzymes. Enzymes can be formulated to break down almost anything on the planet. They can break down oil, petroleums, they can break down almost anything if you formulate them correctly. And these are formulated to specifically attack human protein signatures. And why is that important is because if you're going to spray this stuff all over you, you're probably going to get it on your optics, maybe your glass. You might get it on your bowstrings or your synthetic stocks. And that, if it's not specific to just human protein, it's going to start degrading those products as well. Like, the elastic, almost all fabric has some type of elastic to it. That's a petroleum product, and it would degrade that product if it wasn't specific to just human protein. Or the coating on your optics, or your bowstrings, which are made from synthetic, you could compromise those very delicate features of your hunting equipment with a chemical.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is put anything on your bowstring and be at full draw, and all of a sudden your bow comes apart on you.
Right. I mean, it would. I mean, that's the extreme catastrophe, but really, it would just degrade it so it wasn't at full strength. It would not be precise, that sort of thing. Like our company, Treezyn, well, Zen Apparel and Treezyn camo, like our competitors, all the camo companies, Sitka, First Light, Kuiu, the larger technical fabric companies like Treezyn, we have to specifically say, if you use certain products on our clothing, it voids the warranty, because they're going to be breaking down the elastic waist. Our waistbands have silicone in them. The logos that are on our products are made, they're a silicone logo. It'll break that down. It can erode stitching, all kinds of stuff. So if it's a chemical or an ozone, it will void the warranty on almost any, technical clothing manufacturer like us. We're not the only ones that have that exemption to our warranty. But if you use those products, it is going to break down the products and it'll compromise their integrity.
So then what would you recommend for washing those type of clothes in?
No scent laundry pods.
Okay.
Yeah. So no scent laundry pods. There's no dyes and no fragrances in them. There's no UV brighteners in our laundry pods, which is really important. You don't want UV brighteners in your hunting clothes, because we know from our labs, Georgia Deer Lab, the Alabama Auburn Deer Lab, that the way deer see, they can actually, the UV rays, they can see into that light spectrum. So it gives off kind of a glow when we have UV brighteners on our clothes.
Kind of like a black light, shine a black light on your clothes. If it glows.
Exactly. It's the same thing. I mean, and unfortunately, it all has to do with the quality of the clothing. And if you're buying clothes that are less expensive, they're probably not they're using ink with UV brighteners in them, or they're using fabrics with UV brighteners in them. We don't use those fabrics and we don't use those inks when we make our camo, clothing. And a lot of companies don't either, but they're all the high-end companies. But if you're buying, value-based, hunting clothes, that's going to be a challenge for you, because they're going to be made with UV brightened fabric and UV brightened inks. And that's going to give you away in the woods. And if you wash your hunting clothes in your normal, laundry detergent, you're going to have UV brighteners in there. And then you dry them in the same dryer that you had a dryer sheet in with your other clothes, you're going to have fragrances on you that the deer are just going to pick up. Now, a deer's nose is 1,000 times keener than a human's nose, right? It's 100 times keener than a dog's nose. But go back to a human, it's 1,000 times keener than a human's nose. A human can detect a fragrance within 1 meter. When it gets within 1 meter, we can smell whatever it is we're smelling. A deer's nose is 1,000 times keener than that. So it means a deer can smell you at 1,000 yards. And you've been busted by deer that you've never seen before. You'd never see them, and they're gone, So, that's why scent elimination is so very important. Now, again, we don't live in a perfect world. You can't eliminate 100% of anything, right? It's just perfection is an impossibility. So, but this comes very close to that. There isn't a human odor that no scent won't eliminate, and it will eliminate as much of that odor as scientifically possible. Just that reality, because of the enzymes, the way they work. And that's really important as you're going after. I mean, we talk to people all the time, and it doesn't take a lot to kill a 2.5-year-old deer, 1.5-year-old deer. They're kind of dumb as a sack of hammers, especially during the rut. It's not that big a deal. But you want to get that 5.5, that 6.5-year-old deer, you're going to have to do something, to improve your game, like, have no scent. And then also have a camo pattern and a camo product like Treezyn that's going to give you that performance, which will break up your silhouette, that will fit you properly, because if it doesn't fit properly, you're going to be uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable, you're moving. And if you're moving, it's over, They
Yeah.
look for movement. So that's why we try to make our clothes, our camo, fit perfectly. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be quiet. If you're cold or you're wet, you're more likely to be moving or shivering or something like that. So we try to build, that's why we build into our clothes the technology that we do to give you the best opportunity on the best animal possible. Otherwise, you're just going to be shooting 2.5-year-old deer, and the genetics are going to be watered down because you're taking out those deer before they can put their genetics fully into the gene pool. You want to take those older animals just for a genetics perspective. I don't have any problem with someone shooting a legal deer. I don't care how old it is. If it's a legal deer and it makes you happy, I'm happy for you. But if you are looking to, strengthen your herd or manage the herd, you really want to let those younger good bucks put their genes in the gene pool, take out the older bucks that have already put their genes in the gene pool, and you'll have a healthier herd.
Yeah, that's true. There's some areas that you might as well shoot it because it's not going to make it through rifle season. Some places just really do it. I know we had one guy one time, and also being a public property was private property, and then one day they come in and wiped out all the herd, and years later, and they haven't recovered.
Yeah, so, I mean it's a very delicate ecosystem. I consider myself a hunter, obviously, but I also consider myself a conservationist. And conservation is extremely important to me for a lot of reasons. But if you're going to manage the ecosystem, that's why here in Georgia, if I see a hog, I kill a hog, because it doesn't belong in my ecosystem. It takes out the turkeys and all the ground nesting birds. It'll eat a fawn. Hogs are horrible. They were never indigenous to our population here. So we see a hog, we shoot a hog. But for deer, we want a healthy herd. And yeah, it's always good if you can meet with your neighbors. We live on a 200-acre property here in East Georgia, and my neighbors have 300 acres, 600 acres, and 1,200 acres. And we work together with each other to identify the bucks that we think are, shooters for the season that's coming up. And it's worked out pretty well over the last few years. And now we have, good mature bucks. Now, hey, if your grandson or somebody else, that had never shot a deer before comes in and you see a nice 2.5-year-old and you want to take him and it's all legal, then, I'm not going to judge anybody for doing that. But it's always best if you can, give those animals some years to put their genes in the gene pool and, take out a healthy number of does, because if you get an unhealthy doe to buck population, the bucks become weak and small, and they're more vulnerable to disease because they're weak. But if they have to compete for those does, because there's fewer of the does, it makes them strong and gives you a healthier population all around. It's all about conservation and giving yourself the best shot opportunity, so you don't have to take a risky shot. You can take the best shot on the best animal if you give yourself, the better opportunities. That's why, if you're a bow hunter, you really want good equipment so that it'll perform well. If you're a rifle hunter, again, you want a good trusted round. You want good optics. You want to be able to put a good ethical shot on the animal. You want to give yourself all the opportunities you can to take the best shot on the best animal. And that's what No Scent does. And that's what Treezyn helps you do as well.
Yeah, you just, like you kind of alluded to, you need to know your equipment.
Yep.
Okay, with my bow, what is my effective range that I feel comfortable shooting? Now, it was longer, but as I get older, I don't see as well. So my pen's a little more blurry. So my max distance I'm going to shoot is not going to be as long as what it was before. But all the time I've been shooting, my first year was 40 yards. I've shot a couple at 20. The rest have been 10 or less.
Yeah.
So,
I,
you know,
I mean, do you use a verifier?
no, I don't.
Man, I'm telling you, I don't know how old you are, but I'm old enough that I need reading glasses, right? So the verifier is and it's not
I,
legal
I
in
have
some
glasses
states.
for the computer, and I have glasses for regular seeing, and they're bifocals, and these are also bifocals for reading. So
I understand. Man, you can get a verifier in your prescription in your PEEP site, which is like the greatest thing ever. And I use a verifier. Now, if I go to some states and the laws change usually yearly, you just got to look at what the law says in your state, whether you can use an optic like that. Because in some states you can't use any type of optics on your bow. But where you can, again, it's about getting the best ethical shot. Now, for me, I can hit a target at 40 yards pretty consistently, but I'm not comfortable shooting, beyond 30 yards. And that's just me, and most of the time, quite honestly, I don't need to. If I'm hunting in the woods, most of my shots are, 20, 25 yards.
yeah, because I try to set it for 20-yard shots, but they always come in closer. I've shot them at 5 feet.
Oh my gosh.
I shoot them at 5 yards, sometimes 10 yards. And if I'm lucky, they're out to 15. I've had them basically walking almost underneath my tree stand. And, that's too close. I don't want them that close. I want them further away because that angle is just such a crazy angle that
Yeah.
you don't have a good, clean shot to go through. And
Yeah.
I like a little bit longer shots, but
Yeah.
the same thing, you need to know how your equipment shoots. How does it shoot at 20 yards? How does it shoot at 10 yards? How does it shoot at 5 yards? What happens if you get one at 5 feet? How do you shoot at 5 feet? You need to know how that sight works, because if you're at 5 feet and you put your pin where you want it to go, you're missing. You're way low. And a lot of people don't understand this. Like the really close ones, you got to use your long range pins. And, I've explained this a couple times, but your eyes and your sight is at one level. Your arrow is actually lower. That's why in a blind, a lot of people will shoot through their blind because they're not realizing that, oh, my pin clears, but no, the arrow don't. Same thing with rifles. You need to know how your rifle is set up. What's it going to do at 25 yards? What's it going to do at 100, 200, 300? I have mine set up where I'm dead on at 20, 26 yards and 200 yards. I'm about an inch something high at 100, about 3 something low at 300. So I know on that, I put that pin or the scope where I want it to go and squeeze off. I'm good. Same thing with the bow. I know my 20-yard pin at 10 yards, not enough difference to worry about. Start getting closer. I can use that 20-yard pin, anywhere from about 10 yards to 25 yards and be just fine. After 30, I'll need to move up to another one because I'll be kind of low. But lots of times they drop down low when they hear the bow go off. So you never know.
Right.
Yeah, that's there's a lot to doing that. When I first started, there was the tree bark camo, which part of that pattern in yours kind of reminded me of the tree bark.
Well, I think the tree bark was like one of the first camo non-military camos that came out, and it was effective at a level. I mean, it was actually not bad at all. the thing about camo patterns, for the deer, what you really want is something to break up your silhouette, right?
Right.
I mean, it's really what you're going after. So one of the mistakes that I think are made with some camo patterns is they have such a small repeating pattern that at 25 to 50 yards, you look like a solid,
Right.
And that's exactly what you don't want. You don't want your silhouette to be solid. Like the image on your screen behind you, you've got a silhouette of a bow hunter and a deer. You can see them clearly, right?
Right.
But I mean, if you had their silhouette broken up by the pattern of the sky, it'd be very difficult to see them. And that's what we do with Treezyn. Our patterns have larger islands of imagery. And in those islands of imagery, there's different colors and different textures. And that's going to break up the pattern quite effectively. We use both dark colors and light colors in our patterns because you see that in the woods, especially when you're looking up from the ground into a tree, like a deer is. I mean, you don't want to have a camo pattern that looks like dirt unless you're sitting on the dirt. When a deer is looking up, in the tree line, because he may know that tree stand, that ladder stand could have a hunter in it. You gotta pattern yourself for what's behind you, which is sky sometimes and leaves. So like in early season, we have, I'll show you if I can, our early season pattern. I'll pull out our pants and see if I can make it bigger. Here we go. Can I share my screen again?
Yeah, you can share.
Okay. So this is a picture of our early season cargo pants, right? And you can see there's islands that are light colors, and then there's patterns that are darker greens, and then some brighter greens in here, even some rust or dirt colored patterns as well. And that's what you see when you look into the woods. You see bright greens, you see dark greens, and you see some light colors, and you see some dark colors. That's super important as you're looking to break up, your silhouette. And a lot of times, especially in older patterns, you'll see, stuff that repeats quite often. And, it's real small, and basically it doesn't break up your pattern at all. And that's a mistake that, some of the camo patterns make when they have such a small repeating, pattern, because it repeats so often, so quickly, then, it just doesn't break up your silhouette like it needs to. And that's Treezyn, both in the early season and the late season, are specifically designed to break up your silhouette to mimic the forest or the woods wherever you're hunting. That's what we do. At least that's always our goal in what we do.
Yeah, I know when I set up my tree stand, I kind of look up and see, okay, am I silhouetted in the sky? Because I've had deer come by and look up and it's like, oh, and then I realize, oh, I'm silhouetted. I'm standing out like a sore thumb, So I always try to look, okay, what's behind me? Is there trees or something that gives a little bit of depth? You're not seeing, like you mentioned the guy in my background, standing there, he's silhouetted. Obviously, you can see he's a bow hunter. You can see it's not natural. Now, if he was on the other side with some trees, with the trees behind him, you would be hard to pick him out because he's got something to break up that pattern. And,
Yep.
That would be kind of interesting to see how well if you are skylighted in a tree stand or ladder stand or wherever, how that pattern looks looking up at somebody that is actually silhouetted.
Yeah, I mean, we do some marketing like that to show exactly that, what that's like, because that's exactly, you want to break up your silhouette, usually in a ladder stand or a climb on or something like that, because you're going to be hanging out in the breeze and you need to have the most, cover that you can so that the deer obviously can't see you. And that's what our patterns do, is that they will mimic the surroundings and therefore, blend you in to your background. And that's what we do.
So what got you started in archery?
Well, I was a gun hunter at first, and it all started. Honestly, I grew up with my family. We hunted mostly small game like rabbits and squirrels and things like that in Illinois. Growing up in the late '60s, there wasn't a lot of deer in Illinois, believe it or not. So we didn't hunt deer. My family didn't, and it was kind of a sport for someone for people who had more resources than my family. We grew up very modest and we just didn't have a lot of resources. We had a shotgun and that's it, So we squirrel hunted, rabbit hunted, did some bird hunting, things like that. But back in 1999, back in the last millennia, right?
Yeah.
Back in 1999, my dad died. And it was whenever a parent dies, it's always very difficult for the child, even adult child, to process that. So one of my very good friends, his name's Benji, and he said, "Hey, you know what you need? You need to just go out behind my house and sit in the deer stand and just kind of reset, your head and your heart." And I said, okay, that sounds good. And I thought, well, maybe if I go, sit in a deer stand, I might, kind of reset and reconnect with my dad, at least in those experiences, that sort of thing. So I thought that'd be a good idea. So, I mean, I had my blue jeans and my sneakers on and probably a plaid shirt, some crackers, Coca-Cola, everything, right? I didn't do anything right, but I got up in the tree stand and I was there for, I don't know, not very long. Right. And, a nice 8-point buck came out and I was able to put a good shot on it with my 30-30 lever action, Winchester Model 94 gun, and
Those are good guns.
yeah, it was a great gun. And, that gave me an opportunity to just try to, reconnect with some of the experiences that my dad might have had. And it kind of started a journey for me, really almost 25 years ago now, 24 years ago. And, that's how I got into hunting. Now, bow hunting, I started about 4 years ago. And when I developed No Scent, I thought, this product probably is what every bow hunter needs. Now, I'm not a bow hunter, but I think I want to try to bow hunt. And if I have No Scent to eliminate my human odor, I probably could maybe get a chance of getting them close enough I could shoot them. And that's why I took up bow hunting, basically to prove that No Scent worked. And that's how I got into bow hunting. So I went to Bass Pro and bought a beginner, bow, and just, I'm not going to spend more than $500 on a bow. That's crazy talk, and I went and bought something on sale and, is actually good enough. No Scent started to sell over in South Africa. So I went over to South Africa. And I have a friend who's from South Africa. So we went over there and we were a part of the Huntex trade show, which is a big international trade show in Johannesburg. And we set up a booth for No Scent and, did great. I mean, everybody there just loved it. And then I was walking around, took a little break from the booth and walked around, and I saw this camo that was just amazing. And the more I looked at it, I go, this is not from South Africa. It can't be. This looks like American camo. And it was Treezyn, right? So first time I ever saw Treezyn was in South Africa. And I came back home and I looked them up and I called some, I said, man, I don't know. I need some of this camo. This is the best camo I've ever seen. And that's how I got into Treezyn. But bow hunting, I got into bow hunting because of No Scent. And that was about 4 years ago. And, the rest is history. Now that's pretty much all I do is just bow hunt. Now I'll shoot animals with a rifle for sure. I don't really, it doesn't matter to me that much, but I always prefer to bow hunt.
Yeah, bow hunting's kind of my preferred method, but you know what? I'll grab that rifle and go out there and shoot too. It's meat in the freezer, and that's kind of what we want to do is,
yeah,
meat in the freezer. It's really good, good food.
And it's amazing how, I mean, I'm looking across the room at 2 bows that were my dad's, right? And one of them is they're what we would call traditional bows now, right? Because there was no compound bow back in the 60s. Or at least we didn't know about it. But my dad had a traditional wooden bow, and it's over there in the corner. And then there's a fancy bow. It's got some fiberglass on it too, but those were his bows. And I remember my dad shooting a bow, and I thought, this would be great. So now I have those bows. I don't use them. They're just there to remind me of my dad. And then I have 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 other bows that I shoot now. So I enjoy it. I'm hopeful that this spring I'm going to take a turkey with my bow.
That would be good. Challenging, kind of small target.
Oh yeah, right. And a hard target to hit, right?
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, it would. I know that compounds were first developed. The first ones come out in late 60s. They weren't really available to buy until the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like me. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and when I got my first bow in early 60s, my option was either wood or fiberglass, longbow or recurve. And wood arrows with feathers.
That's right.
That was the only options you had. And I have my first bow. It's a 25-pound fiberglass recurve, Ben Pearson, and it's still got a string on it that's decades old. I won't string it because the fiberglass is you can see little defects in it forming. So I won't even bother stringing it because it means more to me in good shape than it does to shoot it.
Yeah.
I have another recurve, a PSE recurve that I can shoot if I want to shoot recurves. And then I have 2 PSE bows and a bear.
Yeah,
Never set up the bear yet.
Well, you got season coming for sure. I mean, I've got a Darton bow that I started with, and I've got a couple Martin bows because Martin puts our patterns on their bows. I've got a couple Athens archery bows because they put our patterns on their bows. I've shot a Matthews, love it. I mean, every bow is slightly different. I mean, I have my preferences, but honestly, the bows that I have, they're so good. They're better bows than I am a bow shooter,
Yeah.
I mean, they are really good. Now these are all flagship bows. I mean, these are the top end bows by all those companies and manufacturers. They shoot amazingly well. They shoot better than I do. So, they're just incredible. And you can you can pretty much find the bow that just kind of fits you. It's almost like, Harry Potter in the wand store. I forgot the name of the store.
Yeah, I forget now, but yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that story. Yeah.
So he's got to go in there, right? And the wand picks the wizard, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that with a bow for me. It's like, you'll know it when you put it in your hands and you shoot it. You'll know what bow has picked you, kind of a thing. Just fits you, better than other bows.
Yeah, I know that's why I always tell beginners is like, okay, if you're going to shoot a right-handed bow or a left-handed bow, grab everyone that you can afford. Don't go out and look at the $2,000 bow if your budget's $500. But grab the bow, put it in your hand. If you don't like what it feels, put it back up. Next, you're going to get one that's like, oh, that feels good in my hand, and then set it up to your draw length and shoot it and see what you think, and then grab another one that feels good, set it up, shoot it. Make them about the same draw length, the same weights, because you're not, if you get one that's set at 60 pounds, one that's set at 70 pounds, they're going to feel different. You can't compare them. So whenever I was setting them up, people, it's like same draw length, same draw weight. So the only difference was the feel of the bow. And, you go through the field, see what it's like. And sometimes you have to get down. It's like, shoot with your eyes closed. I'm going to hand you a bow. You're going to shoot it with your eyes closed. You don't know which one it is. You can't be biased that way. And then shoot bow one, shoot bow two. Which one you like better and why? I don't care the why. I just want them to say why. And it's okay. So pull that one out. And, if you have another bow, shoot these two. Which one you like better? And then pick a bow. That's one way to do it, because now you know how it feels. With your eyes closed, with your eyes open, your mind gets confused. You can get that bias in there. It's like, well, I think this is the best bow. I want this bow. And then your mind won't let you actually feel that this other bow is better, much better bow for you. And, that's just something you got to do. And if you go to a place that knows what they're doing, that's what they're going to do for you is, set them up and try them. And, when I had my shop, or when I was working at I worked at both Bass Pro and Cabela's, like, shoot them. You can shoot every bow in the store if you want. Some you're not going to be able to because they're shooting with the wrong hand, but still.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to find the bow that, fits you.
That's the whole key to, any of this, no matter what sport you're doing, the equipment's got to fit you.
Yeah.
It's just like archery or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that you need to be comfortable with your equipment, and your equipment needs to be good enough quality that you can be comfortable. I mean, there's some camo out there that is never going to fit anybody. It's just cheap China, stuff coming over here. And, for bow hunting, Treezyn offers what we call our ultralight product. And it's the lightest weight hunting pant on the market. It's 1.8 pounds. That's it. 1.8 pounds. And that's a 4-way flex fabric. It's got vents in the knees and the hips that you can open and close. And then the fabric around the back yoke of the pant, like where your belt is, that's a ventilated fabric. And then that same fabric is in the crotch area that's ventilated. The entire pant of the ultralight product is made to port out your heat so that you can stay comfortable. And then we have ultralight shirts and all kinds of products, because here in the Southeast, I've hunted opening day of Kentucky for the last 4 years, and it's not been under 90 degrees any year, opening day in Kentucky. Here in Georgia, it's definitely not going to be under 90 degrees. It's be 95 degrees. Alabama, Florida, any of these states, it's going to be hot a lot of times for opening day. And most camo is built for keep you warm, when it's 50 degrees or colder, And if you wear that same camo bow hunting opening day, you're going to die. I mean,
Mhm.
we just say, look, if you use our ultralight product, bow hunting opening day in Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, all the southern states, even Kentucky, it's miserable, right? Let's just be honest. It's hot. It's 95 degrees. It's miserable, but you will be less miserable in our camo because it's going to keep you cool. And if it can keep you cool, you can stay out longer and you might have a better opportunity. So that's really important. Of course, no scent is extremely important on those hot days. Spray down because you're going to be sweating. And if you're sweating, you're creating bacteria. If you're creating bacteria, you're creating odor. So, especially opening day, because I mean, we all want to shoot opening day. The bucks are easier to pattern that time of year. They're still in velvet, maybe, depending on the state you're in. So it's really important to hunt opening day. We've been living all year for it. And now when it finally comes, first September, or even August in some states, man, you got to be ready. You better have some good, lightweight, warm weather hunting clothing like No Scent's, or excuse me, like Treezyn's, ultralight product. Very important.
And that's, here in Nebraska, we still have in September when the hunting season starts, it's still fairly warm, and we can have those hot days like that. And, then we get later in the season now, then we don't want that lightweight. We want,
Right.
something, that'll keep us warm. And, like that one, down to 20 degrees with just a t-shirt underneath the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these performance fabrics are just amazing. Like you take our cargo pants or our jacket, and it's not very heavy, but it's 3 layers of fabric. An outside soft shell fabric. Then there's a TPU layer, membrane that will keep the wind and the water out. And then a fleece, a hex fleece lining, which promotes breathability and really secures the warmth of your own body back, close to your body. I mean, they're not exceptionally bulky clothes. They're not heavy, but they will keep you warm and dry. And, if you can, windproof is usually more important than waterproof, because the difference between waterproof and water resistant, right? Waterproof is a raincoat. I mean, that's like turn a fire hose on you and you don't get wet. The issue is if it's raining that hard, A, you may not want to be out there, and B, the deer may not be moving if it's raining that hard. But water repellent, that's your light rain, that's your moderate rain. Deer will move in that. They don't care as long as it's not lightning or there's a lot of wind. So water repellent or water resistant, which is the same thing, is really important. And then windproof is probably most important, because if it's 40 degrees and you got a humid 10-mile-an-hour wind, you could freeze. It'd feel like it's 0 out. So our products, both our late season jacket and late season cargo pants, all have that TPU layer in them, which makes them windproof, not only water resistant or water repellent, but windproof. And that keeps you a lot warmer when the wind is not cutting through you.
Yeah, I know. Fleece is real nice and warm until you get wind.
Or until you get wet.
Yeah.
Or until you have to walk through a briar or burr patch,
Oh yeah.
Fleece is great because it's quiet, right?
Right.
And it's really good at trapping your human warmth, right? But if you've ever hunted in a pure fleece jacket or pants and it's raining, you're miserable. And if you have to get down and walk through some briars or some stickers, oh, it's the worst. Every fabric has its pros and its cons to it. there are benefits and there are liabilities to fabrics. And the key is to find kind of the right balance for where you are. I was going to go hunting. I've been hunting in Colorado probably 20 years in a row, elk hunting in the high mountains. And one year I thought, this fleece jacket is exactly what I need, man. I'm going to be so warm at those altitudes. It's going to be fantastic. And it was, until it started to snow. And man, it got heavy and it got wet. And then I got cold, and that was not fun at all.
No.
So, fleece is great. But it has some liabilities to it as well. It's very quiet, but man, once it gets wet, it's not nearly the performance out of the fabrics. And if you ever have to walk through briars or any type of stickers, that's like the worst. That's the worst. You want a tight weave, something that's going to repel water and repel the briars and yet still be quiet. And that's really always the challenge. Is waterproofing usually means louder. And that's always the give and take. Is it waterproof? Yes. Is it quiet? Not as much as you'd want, because to waterproof something usually means it's going to have to be louder. Now, the more expensive the fabrics, the more technical the fabrics, the quieter you can get the waterproof fabrics, but still they're going to be louder than like fleece, which is not waterproof at all. So there's a give and a take in the whole waterproofing. Yes, you can have totally waterproof, but it's going to be louder than you might want. So how important is the waterproofing to you? If it's really important and you don't move a lot, then maybe you're okay. But most people would like something that gives them a good level of waterproofing and a good level of quiet. And that's that sweet spot where you want to be. And usually a soft shell product fabric like what we use, Kuiu, Sitka, First Light, all use similar fabrics. That's that high-end technical fabric that's very quiet and yet waterproof. But you get lower, less expensive fabrics, you'll get them loud, or they'll just be fleece and they won't be waterproof at all.
Yeah, good information to keep in mind when you're looking for clothes. I've got drawers and drawers and hangers full of clothes and camel clothes, and I don't wear too many of them anymore. But when it gets colder, then I can put on my I don't remember if it's scent blocker or scent lock. I think it's scent lock suit, which helps with the scent control. The first time I even had an experience with anything like that, it was early season, and we hunted in the morning, so we went out the afternoon, and it was hot. So I put on a t-shirt, my shorts, and had one of the British chem suits, not real thick, but it was a charcoal suit, designed for keeping chemicals to get into your body. And so I put that on, and I'm sitting out there and I'm sweating all afternoon. I'm soaking wet, and I because it's a pullover, I go to pull it off, and I figure it's going to stink inside. As I'm pulling it off, it smelled like distilled water. Didn't have any smell at all. It's like, oh, that does really work pretty good. But
yeah, it's always a challenge to find that balance, right? But yeah, layering is real important. And today, with the fabrics that we have available to us, you can get, lightweight, not bulky, high performance fabrics that are going to keep you dry, going to keep you warm, going to keep you comfortable, going to keep you in the woods longer. That's the whole thing. But they come at a price, right? And because those fabrics, that's not just plain cotton, so there's technology in that, and that is usually more expensive than just plain cotton. So it's always a trade-off of what you're going to get. And we get asked all the time about, where's your product manufactured? Because that's important to us in this day and age, right? And the reality is that the fabrics we use, They are not made in the United States. Nobody makes them in the United States. It's not even an option. They can't, the machines that cut these fabrics are very special machines. They're not in the United States either. So to get windproof, waterproof, quiet, breathable, antimicrobial for your scent control stuff, I mean, to get that fabric, you're very limited on your options. And there are no options in the United States. Plus, I mean, this quarter zip I have on, this is a merino wool quarter zip, right? And you can't get this fabric, you know, in the United States. This is made overseas because it's the only place they make it. And if like this, I think, you know, this product sells for around 115 bucks, you know, something like that, lifetime guarantee, lifetime warranty on all the zippers and everything else. It's, you know, I won't have to replace this, right? But if I had to make this in the United States, if my company was making this in the United States, I'd probably have to charge $350 for this because of the cost of labor. And, you know, that's the trade-off. And we would love to make our products in the United States, but the fabric options to us are not available here. And the labor costs are, you know, so expensive. So, you know, we make our products all over the world. Depends on the product, where it's made. So, you know, whether it's merino wool or if it's a TPU layer fabric or if it's a micro fleece, if it's a hat, you know, just depends on what the product is, where it's made. Almost all hats are made in Bangladesh and Vietnam. Those are the two places that manufacture, like 99% of the hats are all made in the same place.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I know I have some merino wool socks, and you know, I have, you know, I had a whole drawer full, you know, several, you know, a dresser, you know, full drawer full of wool socks. And what do I wear? Those merino wool ones.
Yeah, right. I mean,
they keep the feet warm, and you don't have to get layers and layers and layers of socks.
Right. And the other thing is, like, if it's elastic, it's not from the United States. That a lot of times companies will, I'm not saying they're being untruthful, but they may be bending the truth a little bit by saying made in America, because they may be sewn here, the components all come from overseas. You know, zippers, elastics, snaps, any of that stuff is coming from overseas. And, you know, it's kind of like saying that this, you know, pick a foreign car like Hyundai or something like that. It's like made in America. It's like, well, it was assembled here, you know, but it certainly wasn't made here. But we live in a global society right now. And, you know, we are an American-owned company, Treezyn and No Scent. No Scent is 100% made in America. The bottles, even our plastic bottles, are made right here in Atlanta, Georgia. But it's so difficult to, you know, compete in a world market. You know, it just, I wish everything was made in America, but those options just aren't available to us. And that's a shame, actually.
Yeah, it is, but you've got to go with, you know, where you're going to get the best product to produce the best product. You know, your materials have to be high quality because you're putting out high quality, you know, clothing and equipment, and you just got to find the best. And if it's manufactured here, then that's a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I wish. Yeah, I mean, I have very strong views about our, you know, country, and I'm a huge patriot. But I think you also have to be somewhat of a realist. I mean, we do get people that are, you know, not happy because our products aren't all made in the United States, but they're texting me on their phone, which wasn't made here, or on their computer that wasn't made here. The car they drove, you know, everything they got on their body wasn't made here either, you know. And there's a sense of duplicity in that, where you go, I get it, but man, you don't live in that world, and neither do we. That's just not the world we live in anymore. So we do the very best we can. with our American-owned company and, provide the very best products at a very affordable price. We are usually 1/3 less than some of those other major brands that I've just mentioned in price. So we say, look, if you work 40 hours a week, you can afford, our products. Our products are in your price range if you work 40 hours a week. Now, if you don't work 40 hours a week, you probably can't nor should try to buy my products. You should, try to work 40 hours a week, and
Yeah.
and then maybe you can. But we offer very competitive products at a very competitive price. Our products are, quality for quality, every bit as good as the other products that have companies that I've just mentioned. We don't have the name brand, we don't have the brand recognition of those guys, but we do have the quality and the performance of those guys. Plus, we have great customer service. We ship same day on all of our products. You place an order before 2 p.m. and it's going to go out that day, except on Saturdays and Sundays. Right? People are like, we get it all the time. It's like, hey, have you shipped my product yet? It's like, well, you ordered at, 11:30 Saturday night and it's Sunday afternoon. No, I haven't. We haven't shipped your product yet. It'll get shipped Monday morning. So
You don't ship on Saturday and Sundays.
no, we don't, because nobody takes product. It's like UPS, FedEx, they don't, those commercial accounts that we have, they don't come on those days. So, but we do the very best we can. And usually, you're going to get your product within 2 to 4 days. Depends on where you live, like not in the United States, but like if you live closer to a metro area, you'll get them sooner. But if you live in the middle of nowhere, and then you take a dirt road 5 more miles, it might take 4 days. But if you live if you live near a city, you probably have your products in 2 days. If you ordered on Monday, you're going to have it on Wednesday because we'll ship it Monday, and you'll probably get it Wednesday. But you have to provide us with the actual address, the correct address. And if you don't,
That's true.
it's like we have some great, we talk to people all the time. It's like, hey, I never got my product. Oh man, let me look at that. Yeah, well, UPS says it delivered and like to the address you gave us. Yeah, but that's my neighbor's house. Yeah, well, that's the address you gave us. So go talk to your neighbor and see if they have your product. Yeah. But there's all kinds of amazing stories, in terms of shipping, that are just, you can't make this stuff up kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I know. I ordered a torque wrench from a place down in Kansas City, and I placed the order in the morning, and, they give an option, 2-day delivery, so the normal delivery, it's like, I never take those because that's just a whole lot extra money. And, I had product next night.
Yeah. Nobody, by the way, guarantees 2-day delivery. People ask us all that. Do you offer 2-day delivery? We say no, because that's not a thing. UPS will not. They'll sell you something that they call that, but it's not really what you and I would call 2 days. And they don't guarantee it either. So you can pay extra money for 2-day delivery, but there's no guarantee. Yeah. So it's like, why am I doing this? Right.
I've seen sometimes the 2-day delivery time was longer than the normal delivery.
It can be. Usually you're fine with UPS or USPS. Usually 2 days, 3 days. We have people that order stuff in, like I said, in Hawaii, or in Canada. We ship all over the world, and it's going to take just a little longer, right, to get there, but not much. And it depends on when you order it. Look, if you order something December 20th, I'm not sure you're going to get it before, Christmas, because Christmas is on a Monday and the 24th and the 23rd is a, Sunday and a Saturday. So you're not going to, it's not going to happen. But usually it's 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, I know that's I used to, when I had my store, I used to order martial arts equipment from Pennsylvania at a place. And it was 4 days. It's always just 4 days to get here from Pennsylvania to Nebraska. It was always 4 days. No matter when I ordered it, it was 4 business days. If I ordered on Friday, well, it was 4 business days. Ordered on Monday, it's still 4 business days.
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten better, really. I mean, we ship all over the the lower 48, and it's usually 2 to 3 days. Doesn't matter where it is, unless you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then it could take a little longer. But it's because you're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's got to go to certain distribution centers, and then to another distribution center and then to your Uncle Bob, and then he's got to give it to your Aunt Mabel, and then she's going to hand it to you. It's going to be like that, right?
Well, I know stuff comes from Kansas City, once they deliver it to FedEx, or whoever. A lot of my stuff comes in FedEx, but they go to distribution center in FedEx, and then it gets shipped over to Omaha, and then it gets shipped down to Lincoln, and then it gets put on a truck to be delivered here because I live in between Omaha and Lincoln. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the world we live in, right?
But it all happens in 2-3 days. As the one I was watching it, it's like, okay, I ordered early enough in the day. They put it out that day to the distribution center, and I seen that it was transferred from the receiver place to the distribution center in Kansas City, and then at night it was sent up to Omaha at their distribution center, and then by the morning it was sent out to Lincoln to their distribution center, and then loaded on a truck that morning to be delivered sometime that day.
It's amazing how they can track it all, but they do.
It's when I had my store is like 20 years ago, so shipping wasn't near as efficient as it is now.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you've been over to Africa to hunt. Tell us about some of your hunts over there.
Yeah, so I've been, I think, 8 times now to hunt South Africa, and I lead trips to South Africa. I've got 3 trips coming up this year, and if people are interested in hunting South Africa, they can certainly message me, and we can chat through what that looks like, and we have spots open for people to go. It's not a value hunt economically, but you do good value for your dollar over there. So, people ask all the time, it's like, what's it like? How much does it cost? And all those kinds of things. Well, it's not like anything in the United States. And it's about the cost of a trophy animal here in the United States. So let's say you want to kill 5 trophy grade animals, right? Not just good animals, but SCI gold medal animals, trophies, true trophies, measured by SCI, or in South Africa, it's Roland Ward. For that, you're going to spend about $8,000 to $9,000, depends on the type of animal that you're going to shoot. But that's 5 trophy animals. That's less than a trophy elk hunt here in the United States, if you could get a tag, right? But for to hunt South Africa, I mean, it's really quite a beautiful experience. You get on a plane in Atlanta. Somehow you get to Atlanta. I would always recommend this flight pattern. Fly to direct flight from Atlanta to Johannesburg, and then our guide and outfitter picks us up from the airport, takes us to the farm, which could be, depends on the farm, either 3 to 4 hours away, and man, you could be hunting that same day, which is amazing. Now there are some farms that are set up for bow hunting, and some that are set up for rifle hunting, and some farms are set up for both. And you don't rifle hunt where you bow hunt. I mean, that's you would never see any animals if you did that. So different types of hunting, depends on if you're a rifle hunter or a bow hunter. But you go to these hunt farms, and they're really, most of them are like 5-star resorts. I'm not kidding. They're just spectacular, wonderful food, like exquisite food. You'll usually have an onboard chef that's going to prepare your meals for you. And you've got a laundry service every day. So, I mean, we tell people all the time, look, you're going to be gone for 10 days. Bring like 5 pairs of underwear, 5 pairs of socks. Do not bring 12 of everything, right? Because they're going to do your laundry every day. You're not going to need all those clothes. So they have a laundry service and exquisite food. The bed, the lodging is just magnificent. It's like a 5-star resort. I mean, usually they've got swimming pools and all kinds of really amazing stuff. It's not, it's not difficult in that respect. I mean, it's very comfort. It's very comfortable, right? But when you go out hunting, you'll hunt out of what they call a hide, which is what we call a blind, right? And oftentimes the hide is subterranean. So half of the hide is below grade. So if you're bow hunting, you got to get prepared to shoot from ground level. Like your arrow is going to be launched at ground level. So it's a very different angle than we're used to in the United States.
Right. Opposite angle.
Yes. So you got to learn that. And then you got to understand the organ placement of the animal that you're hunting, because most of the farms are going to have around 20 to 30 different species on the farm. And yes, these are all high fence properties, because the poachers, you got to keep the poachers out. It's not to keep the animals in, it's keep the poachers out. So there'll be 10,000, maybe 20,000 acres, right? All high fenced and all electric fence. And it's lethal. I mean, whatever touches that fence from the outside doesn't survive. So the high fence properties are to keep poachers out. And, you got 10,000 acres to hunt on. So that's a lot of real estate the animals can hide in. And so there's usually 20 to 30 different species, and it's usually very plentiful. And you'll see a lot from, it may not be the animal you're looking for, but you'll probably see 2 or 3 trophy grade animals every day that you hunt. And you'll get shot opportunities almost every time you hunt. It's just magnificent. So the hide is, half underground, half above ground, all very comfortable. It's basically a concrete box that you're in. And you'll usually go sometime in what we call summer months, or June, July, August. Those are the primary months to go. You can go anytime, but those are the best times to go, because it's winter there. It's the Southern Hemisphere. So it's winter. But it's not very harsh winter. It's like Georgia winter. It's not terrible, cold. It's not like Nebraska cold. I mean, it's like Georgia cold. But I mean, you got great animals. They have different organ. Their organ placement is very different from ours. Usually, they're a lot farther forward than our American, deer or any of our animals. So you got to trust your PH, your professional hunter, is going to tell you where to shoot that animal. And they're stout. I mean, going to take a lot to kill them. They're very tough animals. You can hunt anything from very common animal, which is an impala, and beautiful animals. They're smaller than a whitetail deer. They're usually right around 80 pounds. The impala, and very quick, very very fast, and they can string jump you like nobody's business. I mean, they're just amazing. All the way up to a buffalo, Cape buffalo, which they call Black Death, which for good reason. I mean, over 200 hunters a year are killed by black buffalo. So the Cape buffalo. And so they're very dangerous animals to hunt, especially if you put a poor shot on them. So you got to be very good at what you're doing, very circumspect about how you handle yourself in the bush with an animal that can take your life. And the buffalo and usually the leopard is out there. You probably are going to encounter those. So you got to be very careful about what you do and how you do it. But it's amazing. Great animals, all very different. Obviously, I've been able to harvest, I think 16, 17 different species so far, in South Africa. It's incredible, great people, just a wonderful experience. If you get a chance to go, I highly encourage you to go. If any of your listeners have any questions about, going, not just with me or with anybody, just if you want, have any questions, I don't have all the answers, but I have some experience over there, and I'd be happy to share that experience, because there's some things that you should know and some things that you can do, and that'll help your experience along the way. And how to get your animals back, once you shoot something, what happens to it? How much does that cost? And who do I trust? All that kind of stuff. When you go with a really good outfitter, they'll have all those answers. I mean, if someone books a trip through me, we usually have about 5 Zoom calls together with the group, try to answer all their questions about packing, about travel, about food and lodging, about expectations, about everything. And so they're very prepared about what they're going to experience. And so there's as few surprises as possible. And they have a really great time, and they have a really good experience. It's not nothing financially. The average trip's going to cost you between $5,000 and $8,000. Depends on the animals that you shoot.
So then, depending on the animals, there's basically a charge for animal that you shoot then.
Yeah, different animals cost, like an impala. You probably know what an impala looks like, yeah. Right? Okay, so impalas are usually around $300, maybe $280 to $300. That's it. I mean, they're very economical. Yeah. Warthog. A warthog, that's $150 usually. And they're, it's not like a buffalo, which could be 10 grand. But if you've never killed an impala before, right? It's like the greatest trophy in the world, Yeah,
it's such a small animal and so quick.
Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge there.
Oh, it is. I've killed a couple impala in my life. I was hunting a kudu on this property for a TV show, and we're after this one kudu, and we did finally get the kudu down after 3 days of walk and stalk. And the farm owner was like, "Hey, I need you to call out some impala." It's like, "Man, you do, because you got way, way, way too many impala on this property." Everywhere you look, there's impala, which you might think, well, that's not bad, but yeah, they're looking at you, right? So if they see you, the impala, 50 of them or 100 of them start running, everything in the bush starts running, So you got all those eyeballs watching you. It's not great. I said, "You got to get rid of some of these." He goes, "Yeah, well, I need you to take out some." So I ended up shooting 8 impala in like 2 days. And, it's very challenging, but the better prepared you are, the better experiences you're going to have. And then, impala are inexpensive. Warthogs are inexpensive. You go up to like a blue wildebeest, which is the poor man's buffalo, right? They're huge. It's like shooting a buffalo, but like 1/10 the price. Sable, I shot an eland, which is the largest antelope on the planet. It's part of the antelope species, and it's the largest of all antelopes. It's around 1,500 pounds. A huge animal.
That's huge.
Yeah. The buffalo I shot last year, he weighed 2,000 pounds. So, there's some big animals. There's some little guys too out there. I shot what's called the spiral slam of South Africa, which is a kudu, an eland, a nyala, and then a bushbuck. The bushbuck's probably, 40 pounds, maybe. Just a real small animal, but very elusive. And it was the hardest one of all the 4 to walk and stalk and take a good shot on. So there's just so much to do there. And then you got Kruger National Park. We usually book 2 days in Kruger National Park with our clients so that they can see the big five in the wild, elephants, hippos, rhino, lion, leopard. You can see all, and then all the other animals of South Africa are there too. But I mean, it's just an amazing experience to get to go. And it may be once in a lifetime, but if you're an avid hunter, it might be something to consider because while again, it's not nothing in terms of the money, it's a little bit of money, but the experience you get is unmatched, unparalleled.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be really interesting to go over there and do some hunting. Now, on your archery equipment, is there any kind of special requirements you have to have on your archery equipment for hunting over there?
No, there are some pragmatics though. So for most of the plains game, I'm shooting 65 pounds and 125 grain broadhead, and I'll shoot a mechanical broadhead and possibly a fixed broadhead, depends on the animal. Mechanicals are going to give you a really great cut, but you better be right on with that shot, right?
Right.
But a fixed blade, they want you to have no more than 3 blades. 2 is best to get deep penetration. So no, I mean, you need to be shooting. I mean, we took some hunters over that had low poundage bows, and it was problematic. But you need to be pulling about 60 pounds, at least, to be shooting these animals. And then some of them, you really need to be pulling 65, 70 pounds. You get into an animal like a sable, which is about the size of a horse, an eland, which is that big thing, that 50-pound thing. You better be pulling 65 pounds. Otherwise, you're not going to get the penetration that you really need. And the animal will just be wounded.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. And then if you're going to go for like a giraffe or a buffalo with a bow, you better be pulling 80 pounds. And then you're going to have a really heavy arrow, a really heavy setup. You might have a 200 grain, you'll definitely have a 200, maybe 250 grain fixed blade for that buffalo. You have a 2-blade, fixed blade broadhead. And your shot better be good, because here's what happens with the buffalo is that once they're attacked, like shot, I mean, they don't die right away. They don't just like, boom, hit the ground and they're dead.
Right.
Not like whitetail. Once they get attacked, then their defense mechanisms kick in and they determine whether they're right or wrong, doesn't matter. They determine what attacked them, right? And then they're going to kill that, whatever attacked them. As long as they're alive, they will not stop. So if you put a bad shot on a buffalo, especially with a bow, because you're going to be relatively close, right? You want to be about 30 yards, maybe 20. They're going to be able to see you, and you better have some guns with you. But if you put a good shot on the buffalo, then it's like a non-event. I mean, they don't even hardly know they've been hit. I mean, they're not spooked. They don't even know they're bleeding out, if it's a good shot. But a bad shot with a bow or a gun, that's extremely problematic. And that's where people get hurt and sometimes killed, because that buffalo is in the thick brush. I mean, they just come out from nowhere and they don't stop. They don't stop until whatever they think attacked them is dead, whether it's another animal or a human. And and there's no tree to climb. I mean, you go, well, just climb a tree. Well, all the trees are little spindly things with really sharp, thorns on them. Every tree. It's just every tree, everything over there will bite you, stab you, prick you. I mean, it's mean. I mean, the thorns are about that long on those trees.
Kind of like our locust trees.
That's right.
It's covered with thorns.
Yeah. So, you really have to know what you're doing, right? I mean, This is, I mean, you can put a bad shot on an impala, and that's a shame. But you put a bad shot on a buffalo, and that could be dangerous. That's dangerous. So, you know,
something to think about when you're going over there. Make sure you know how your equipment works, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
get them good shots.
Yeah, like when we go, we take clients and we make sure everybody shoots their weapon, before they go in the field. And when someone says, "Hey, I got that 300-yard shot," I mean, they usually don't. I mean, they don't. They might at the rifle range, but in front of an animal or species, that's a different thing. So, we really want them to be close so that they can put the best shot on the best animal that they can. Yeah. And mostly the bow hunters are usually better prepared, and we tell people, look, you should enjoy yourself over there. If you want to stay up all night, playing cards and drinking, you should do that. But you ain't going hunting in the morning.
No.
So you need to be sober. You can't be under the influence of anything when you're hunting.
No.
It's not fair to the animals, It's not fair to wound an animal. And it's not ethical. So we tell people, look, you're grown adults, and if you want to stay up all night doing what you want to do, that's awesome. It's your trip, man. It's your trip. That's great. But, if you're going to get up in the morning to hunt, you cannot be intoxicated. You cannot be under the influence of anything. So it's just not appropriate. And I've never had a problem. I've never had people that's been an issue with, honestly. So, I mean, they pretty much understand that. I mean, people go over there. Bow hunters are oftentimes better prepared, better hunters, honestly. They have to be, right?
Right.
So I've had great experience. I've had one experience where the guy, one client was, he's just kind of whiny and gripey and stuff like that. And we had to have a little come to Jesus meeting with him.
Yeah.
And just say, you really just need to look around you and just take in the beauty, man. You are in South Africa. You're in the most wild place on the planet. There's nothing that you need to be worried or upset about. Nothing matters. So let's just go out and have a great time. Or you can stay here by yourself. We don't care.
One of the two, but you're not going to come with us and spoil the attitude.
You can't be like you are, because he was just like, he was not healthy emotionally at the time. So he just didn't need an attitude check from a loving but firm sort of perspective correction.
And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. And to this person's credit, I said, look, I want you to go over to that rock and just watch the sunrise for 10 minutes. And then I want you to come back and tell me how you feel. And he said, all right, I'm still going to be pissed. I said, you should just go over there and just. And he came back. He said, I don't know what happened, man. I'm sorry. I'm just an idiot. He used a different word, but that's okay. And I said, it's all right, man. It's all good. Let's go hunt. And he was great the rest of the trip. It was just like, I don't know.
Just had to turn on that sunrise in his mind.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then they become porcupines, right? Life can push you in that direction every now and then. And sometimes you just need, someone to come alongside and just say, it's okay. But it's not okay to stay this way. It's okay to be this way, but you can't stay this way. And we're going to help you get past this. And we're here for you, man. So, and that's all it takes most of the time, just to say, look, it's okay to be, grumpy or whatever, but it's not okay to stay grumpy. That's not okay. So let's find a way to find your your joy again, right? Why are you here, man? Why'd you come? Well, I came to experience beauty. Oh, there it is, right there. Let's go do that.
Open your eyes, enjoy.
And yeah, it's like, I don't know why I'm such an idiot. It's like, well, we wonder that too, but it's okay, but it's not okay to stay, unhealthy. But I mean, that's people, right? People are messy. I'm messy, you're messy, everybody's messy to a certain point. And, sometimes a little grace goes a long way.
Yeah. I know some of just watching the sunrise is kind of interesting. I know during the rifle season, I was out there, sat up over the alfalfa field, and as the sun's rising, I got my tripod with my phone on it, take pictures. I want to video this stuff, so I'm taking pictures of the sun coming up, and kind of in my background, that you got that dark and then the sun coming up in there, and caught some of those. And then the next time I was out, I sat over the cornfield and I had pictures over that, and I posted those. It was kind of interesting, the sunrise, and I kind of titled it "Sunrise Over the Cornfield" or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the great reset. I mean, hey, yesterday may have sucked, but a sunrise, and you get another day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I experienced something. You see so many eyes out there seeing everything. I was sitting over the cornfield with the rifle. I was at about 75 yards from where my ladder stands at. There's a field on the other side of my ladder stand. We don't have a shot over there because we don't have permission to hunt there. So I seen this doe come kind of trotting in. So I turn on the camera, get it watching, and I'm getting all ready and figure it's going to, come across on our side that I can shoot. No, then it kind of it took and run off, put its tail up and run off. I'm like, next thing I know, here's three more does come running through the field, and they just run off together because the other three come running in, and this one that was just kind of moseying around down there, it took off too, because I figured something is there, and that's kind of what you was talking about, getting rid of some of those impala, because there's just so many of them, so many eyes, and that one doe would have come over. I think may have come over, may not have, who knows, but the camera was running.
That's right.
I'm going to record the shot, and fit.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's great. Well, man, I just looked up and saw the time. We've spent an hour and a half chatting away. It didn't seem that long.
Yeah. Sometimes they go long, sometimes not. But it's been great talking with you, and I had a lot of information I gathered from you, and learning about the products that you have, the No Scent and the Treezyn,
yeah.
Treezyn, yeah. Treezyn and the No Scent. That's really cool stuff, looks like. And we'll put in a description. I'll have a link to those sites in there for you, and then get them out there. And when I post it to my YouTube channel, I also have links in there as well for it. And we'll just get your name out there, and it's been a lot of fun, and I learned quite a bit from it, and hopefully our listeners to it. If our listeners want to take a trip to Africa, you're the guy. And if they want to get a hold of you, what would be the best way to get a hold of you to talk about it?
You can email me at mike@treezyn.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. You can private message me on Facebook as well.
Yeah, I'll put those links in the description as well, so make it easy to get a hold of you. And last time I tried to run, I was like, okay, what was that site? I was like, okay, yeah, right up, playback, ready to. No, I just look at the link in the description; it's in there.
There you go.
I have to make it easy for them. So yeah, it's been great talking with you, and I'm sure we'll hear some more stories. And if anybody uses any of your product, hey, make a comment. Let us know what you think of the product. It looks like to me it's going to be a really good product to get a hold of. So we'll just be looking for that comment in here. My name is Roy Canterbury. I've been hosting Archery Talk 101 with Mike, and we will see you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Roy.